I would like to ask the next question about, is there a certain episode or setback in your life that you went through and you have bounced back from it, and what has it taught you in life?
Again, like many. I guess a more recent one would be a career setback. So there was, I was hosting a live TV program then, and the camera went to, it wasn't on my face, but it went to like a VT, like a clip, a sports clip. And someone heard someone say, there was the F word that was uttered right then. So then it was like, it was a non-event. I couldn't even hear it, right? I think my mom watched the program.
Sorry, what's a VT? I don't know.
Like a video.
A video, okay.
Yeah, a video. Like let's say you're introducing a sport and you're talking about basketball, so then the basketball clip flashes on the screen and it's just your voice that you can hear voiceover. So at that time, like actually our mics were supposed to be cut, but there was a word that was said, and then it was nothing. So 1 week passed, nothing happened, and then I guess it was a slow day in news, and then it became like a big thing. Like suddenly everyone was like messaging me, AJ, you said F word on TV. I was like, I did? You know, and then after that, I went to watch the clip and I'm like, oh, okay, actually I heard it, but it doesn't sound like me. Was that really me? And then it became like such a big thing. Yeah, until it reached like the level where the TV station was going to be fined because you're not supposed to like, you know, use expletives on TV.
But it wasn't live, right?
It was live.
Oh, okay.
It was live. It's just that nobody picked it up because it was so faint.
Okay.
So anyway, it was like, okay, to this day, I don't know who said it. It could have been me.
Okay.
But I took the blame for it.
Okay.
So the company blamed me, and it was pretty bad after that because I had to go back to work, you know, and then deal with all of that. And then I was, basically that year, I was very bad because I was dropped from a lot of jobs. Like Singapore is a very conservative society, and so I was dropped from a lot of jobs. It was pretty quiet year, career-wise. And then my family is really conservative. Like my mom is really conservative, so she was very upset about the whole thing. She was just upset, slightly irrationally upset, but upset on so many levels. And it was really, really challenging, to be really honest. How I bounced back is, I guess, I developed a lot thicker skin. You know?
Thicker skin.
Yeah, I like developed thicker skin, and I learned to laugh at myself, and almost found it a bit funny. Although it took me years to talk about this.
Everybody used the word anyway for expression.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't say on TV, and this is like many years ago, and then you're a girl on top of that. So it's a lot of layers, you know, and I just learned to, develop thicker skin and realize that it doesn't matter.
So that it had an implication on your career afterwards?
It had 2 years, 2 years. The first year was really bad. I really dropped from a lot of jobs. Then the second year, it slowly picked up, but it did affect a lot of things.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you move past that experience besides being more thick-skinned? Like, what are some of the self-talk or the strategies that you use, you know, when you were going through that rough period?
I told myself that I am more than that experience. And, you know, I think that was when I was very new. I was a very new personality on TV. And of course, when that happened, like, I'm thrown into a situation where people criticize everything else. You know, people are just like that, right? They will criticize how you look, they criticize how you speak. I think all of that was even harder to deal with. Because prior to that, I hadn't gotten anything bad, strangely enough. When I entered the industry, everything was really like rosy, people had only good things to say. And then suddenly it was like, oh yeah, she shouldn't be on TV.
What do you mean that people criticize how the way you eat or the way you speak? Sorry, I don't understand that. Like,
I mean, when you are on television, or I mean, even doing this show, people will say things like, if you post this on YouTube, people will say things in the comment like, why is this guy on TV? Why does he speak like that? Why does she look like that? These are normal things that really upset me at that time.
Okay, at the point of time.
At that point of time, it really upset me.
The naysayers.
Yeah, kind of like the naysayers, but I was very fragile, I think, at that time, and whatever people said really upset me, you know, and I think there was this need to feel validated. Like I wanted people to think that I was perfect. Like I wouldn't say something like that. I wouldn't have a gaffe on TV, or I would look perfect, you know, whatever. Like, I mean, it's just different, I think, then. And then since then, also with the joy of growing older, you just don't care as much anymore.
Were you dealing with any sort of issues having a sort of front that shows to people that you are, I don't know, lack of a better word, being perfect?
Yeah, I think I've always felt like if you were to show any form of vulnerability, it's a weakness. So like I'm actually a very emotional person, but I think I learned not to cry. Like in school, no matter how upset I was, I would never cry, or at least I would never cry in public. Like I think when I got my O-level results, or my A-level results, I wasn't happy with my results. So I took the results and I went to a friend's house and I cried. And I didn't like answer my phone for like hours. I think even my mum, I just texted her what I got, and then I just, I was really, really upset. And she couldn't understand. She was like, I've never pushed you. She's like, this kind of grade still can go university, what? I said, yeah, but it's not what I expected and not what I wanted, right? But then I think I just learned to not cry and not be upset and not show emotion. Even when I would go through like breakups with boyfriends, I would cry and go through it on my own for like until maybe like 1 month later, then I would tell my girlfriends.
Do you think that might be not just a personal, I wouldn't say a flaw, but a personal way of responding to things because we are being brought up in a society or a way of life that we should protect ourselves from a certain danger or being judged, so that we have a certain persona that to be strong? And because when you say this, immediately I think about men who aren't able to express their emotions, but coming from a lady is also quite pressing. It's a pressing issue that because we are being told to behave and act in a certain way, and being able to express our emotions is shown as a form of weakness.
I would say yes. I mean, I was from a girls' school for 10 years, and anyone who's been in a single-sex school would know that it is tough. I mean, it's not as bad as like, I guess, the US Mean Girls, but basically, you gotta survive, right? So I've always had the tough girl person. Nobody ever tried to bully me, right? So you kind of just build a persona for yourself, which is mine was I had a lot of friends. I was lucky to have a lot of friends. So you're a bit more protected if you have a lot of friends. And I just made it very clear that, I was not to be trifled with, right? So if you were to like, I guess I should remember like, I'm very scared of needles, so we had to do BCG jab, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, my persona is gonna die because if I had to get, I confirm will cry. I am such a baby, right? Even to this day, I think about needles, I feel anxious and like I feel like crying already.
Okay.
But my mom's a nurse, right? So I begged her, I said, Mom, I cannot do the BCG in school. She said, why? I said, because I will cry. She said, cry then cry lor. But she also is a nurse. She said, what is there to cry about? It's just a needle. I said, oh my God, I thought about the needle, I felt sick, right? But then I convinced her to let me take it outside, because if I had taken it in school and I had cried, then would have gone my tough girl persona. So definitely I felt the need to like retain this like I'm like the cool chick. But actually at the thought of the needles, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh dear.
I felt I just cannot. I felt the need to carry on, like upkeep this tough girl image, and I can only imagine it must be worse for boys. Like, I mean, my mom tells people she has 3 sons, so I grew up with 2 brothers, so I kind of know what it's like, to not be tough. If people see you as not tough, I think girls can be a little bit cruel in school, but boys are worse. I think boys, like, if they smell the weakness, that's the easiest target to bully, right?
So we're also saying that because we behave in such a way or such a manner in order to survive, to deal with perhaps like group behaviors or to get accepted in a group. And of course, not being bullied, especially in schools or maybe even in the work culture, right? That you have to be tough. But as you know that this really impacts mental health, because when we hold back our emotions, we stop being authentic. We also don't express our emotions well, and sometimes we start to look out from all corners to make sure that we have to always constantly to be on our toes, and that's very tiring. Do you see this happening around you? Not say you, but around the region, like industry, or is it pervasive and prevalent?
I definitely do. I mean, while I agree with you that people should be a bit more willing to be expressive and vulnerable, there is a time and place for everything. That's it. Like, I have friends I know who have been sort of bullied at work because they have shown weakness in the form of like, maybe they have attachments to their children, like, you know, new moms, and then they go back to work, and then they kind of expose this side of them to their colleagues unknowingly. This is used against them. Right?
Used against them.
Yeah, like, wow, why she bother come back to work? Like, her mind is not here. What? She just, you know, she can't leave her baby. Things like really cruel things like that. So I think, like, I did tell this friend, I said, why don't you talk to me about it? Like, I'm not your colleague, I'm your friend. Right? But I think that maybe, I still think people should be careful because I'm a practical person. I don't think you should, like, let it all out, especially not to your boss, your colleagues. I think there should still be a sort of line. But I think being able to have a close group or even a close friend or a close person that you can be like that with and express yourself with is very, very important. And if you're not, you know, I'm fortunate to have a lot, or at least a handful of really good friends and family to support. If you're not that lucky, then I would say you should try to talk to someone. Like, if you can afford it, see a therapist. If you cannot, maybe try to seek out like even a like public health sort of counselor. I think it helps to talk to someone. You know, I mean, best is if it's someone who really cares for you. But if you can't, you should try to talk to someone and not just keep it all in. I think men especially are really, oh my gosh, men are like so problematic. I really think men are like, because it's even harder for men, right? You're taught to be tough and you're taught to like, you cannot cry, especially in the Asian context. It's even harder for a man to like, and then you go, like for a girl, like for me to call my best friend and like cry and all that, it's not so bad. But like for a man to call his like, his buddy and like, bro, it's like, it's not very done in Asian culture, although I think it's getting better. Like my husband, I think like for him, he's lucky to have a few good friends. It's not like he calls them every day to cry and talk about work problems.
Yeah.
But I think like they're cool enough that when anyone does have a serious problem, they will rally around the person. But he's also one of the luckier and a bit more enlightened men, I would say. Even then, I would say he has quite a long way to go still. You know, I think men have a longer way to go in terms of being more emotionally aware and, you know, being more proactive in taking charge of the psychology of your mind. Right? But I think that being aware is the first step, and then maybe like just knowing that there are like baby steps, like maybe you can share a little bit with this one friend, right? And then slowly get there, like realize that it's okay to talk about your emotions. I think that's quite good if everyone could do that.
And be on this, especially being a man, right?
Yeah.
I've been exposed to
you know?
Like the psychological makeup of a man and a woman is a bit different.
Yeah.
Because for men, I think based on our evolution, we used to hang out together to hunt.
Yeah.
So we will look at the prey, right? And then we'll sit side by side, so we have no eye contact. So, yeah. So imagine that if you watch a football game. Or
they sit by side and they watch a thing.
Yeah, they watch the thing. So their target is on that, right?
Okay, whereas women, we actually look at each other and have tea and...
Yeah, like because the mother has to look at the child, the baby, look at the eyes, look at to recognize all these features. So women, they since young, they know how to interact and form that connection and bond together. But a man is more like at the side, shoulder to shoulder, strength to strength. Yeah.
That's so difficult. I would say then try to get a male buddy and try to get him to be, slowly both of you can be enlightened together, or find a really good female partner, and if it's someone who's really good and supportive, then treat her well and don't let her go, and at least you have one source of support. I would say so lah.
Yeah, it's also difficult because as a man, I mean as a boy when I was growing up, when I look at my dad would be the hard, tough man figure, right? Not being able to express his emotions is through actions.
Yeah.
So if you ask, like, the only conversation that he will ask would be like, have you eaten? Right? It's very Chinese culture, like, have you eaten? Okay, and that's it. And that's about it. That's his show of concern. But from a mother, they'll ask like, how were you? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
How do you feel? You know? And so the depth of conversation would be very different. So as a son, as a child, when we grow up, we model after these father figures. And naturally, we take this conversation to our male counterparts.
Okay.
But I'm also surprised hearing from you, because that from a single-sex school, you say that you have to be tough.
Yeah, of course. I mean, because in an environment where it's all girls, right? Like, there's a different dynamic, I think. We're not fighting for, like, boys, but how do I say? It's like in that situation, there will be an alpha, right? There will be an alpha in every pack. And girls kind of move in cliques and packs, and you kind of have to find your people, or you have to be, you know, a friend, someone who kind of mixes with everyone, you know. So I know it was tough for the girls who didn't really have a pack of friends. It was, I mean, I'm thankful that school was pretty easy for me in this front. Like, I didn't get bullied because I had a tough girl image, but also I played sports. So like, if you do, then like people kind of like, at least there's a bit more, you're a bit level up. But then the quiet girls who didn't really have friends, it was tough. And then people like, even for no reason, they would say mean things about them. I don't know, I mean, I think kids are very cruel, honestly. I don't know why. I guess at the age, everyone's finding themselves. And maybe for some people to put someone else down, it makes them feel better. But there's a lot of that in the girls' school, I think. And there's a lot of like subtle bullying, maybe. Like they will all target this one girl and like maybe paste stuff on her back, or target this one girl and always flip her skirt. Like it's like very, very common in a girls' school to like be like that.
How do you overcome these things? Like if let's say
I prevent, so that's why I like I know these things happen, so you just establish from very early on that you are not to be trifled with. Like don't try this kind of crap on me. You know, but then if you don't really have the sort of persona, then it helps to have a strong friend. You know?
So friendship still comes in
Friendship
very helpful.
really helps, yeah.
Yeah, coming to the point of like friendships and also being so vulnerable right now and to express these emotions, you said something about your A-level results and you didn't manage to express your emotions or sadness and you held it back until you reached your friend's place.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about the event?
I mean, I just didn't expect to do that badly. But my mother's standard, it wasn't badly. To her, as long as can go to university, it's good. But I had my own like standard of what I wanted to achieve, and it wasn't that. I wanted to burst into tears, I guess, or that would have been my first reaction, but I held it back. I was like, no, don't. So I just took the paper, and I didn't want to talk to anyone, and I just kind of snuck out of school, like slinked out of school, and then went to my friend's house. And then, then I really like cried.
Okay. And how do you manage to slide out of the situation? Like the reason why I'm asking this is because that I think there are many people out there who are very focused on academics and performance, especially in Singapore, and they are just so exam oriented because they measure their success based on how they score. And this is also a message to those parents who drive their children, you know, not say they drive them to the wall, whichever, but they're really focused on performance, exams, streaming. And coming from that perspective, I want to hear from you that, because it really affected you.
Yeah, but the funny thing is my parents don't care. You know, they didn't even know, like, they never even asked me how I was doing in school ever. They only knew my O-level results, my A-level results, and when I graduated from university, they're like, oh, you actually did quite well. Like, they really don't care. So even my mom is confounded, like, where is this, like, why are you so upset? Like, where is this coming from, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't have the best advice. I guess it was an easy bounce back for me because in the end, I did get accepted to all 3 universities. So it wasn't a bad result, right? I guess if I didn't get accepted, that would have been harder to deal with. But it's just not the result that I wanted. And I guess eventually I got over it by telling myself that I got into the 3 courses that I would have wanted to go to anyway. It's just that, and I told myself the exam is just to get to the next step. It's just an exam. Although I say that, and a part of me also finds it very, like, you know, difficult to, it's very difficult to tell someone that. All I can say is that for someone who was so focused on results, after I graduated from university, I was like, what the hell do I do with my life now? So it's kind of silly because I prepared for exams, and my whole psyche as like, I think 7-year-old, when my mom said, oh, no one in our family has ever gone to university, I was like, well, I'll be the first. And so I made sure, like, that was kind of like a very single-minded life goal, and then I did that. But I had no idea what to do after that. So my advice is, can people please think about what you want to do with your life. Don't think about like, you know, like think about the big picture, not just like you want to score damn well for an exam. Like, why do you want to score damn well for the exam? Right? So in this case, it was just to get into university, right? Which I did. So why was I still upset? So I think that was the way I kind of talked myself out of it.
Maybe it's because you think that achievement was the yardstick or the milestone that you could, is a shot that for you to get happier, or performance is a big component of happiness.
I think so. I guess I felt like school leveled the playing field for me at home, because I was the middle child and my brother was born first, and I really think people should just have one child. It's very hard to give the second child the same amount of attention. Now, my parents gave me a lot of love, but it's just very difficult because you have like my brother is only 2 years older. You have a terrible 2-year-old, and then there's me. You know, and then when he's 4, then I'm the terrible 2-year-old. It's very difficult, you know, especially as young parents, to do that. So achievement was like when I went to school and I realized that actually I did really well in school without trying. Then I realized, hey, actually that's something that I'm sort of better at, that I can like shine at. Although it didn't help because my parents don't care. They really don't care. I come home and I'm like, oh, I got second in class. They're like, oh, okay, that's good. They're really not achievement focused. And then after that, I discovered sports. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm actually good at sports. And then so sports is very achievement focused too. Right, so that one I guess my dad cared a bit more because he was a sports person too. And so I guess I was trained to realize that, okay, like the way to be better is to just achieve more.
Okay.
Yeah, so my whole life is like you just achieve more and you'll be better. And then that was like the mindset, and it's wrong.
Why is it wrong?
It's wrong because like after I achieved all that, then I'm like, after I graduated uni, I was like, okay, then what do I do now? It's wrong because it doesn't fully bring meaning. Like it's nice, and I admit I'm still achievement focused to a certain extent. It's very hard to take that out of a person, but I'm also a bit more aware of the bigger picture. You know, that like time spent with people that you love is very important too. Just enjoying your like moments is very important too. Because achievement alone will not bring you happiness, and doesn't everyone want to be happy? That's the goal of life, right? So the goal of life is not to achieve a lot or to like do really well in life, because I think also my idea of what it means to be doing really well in life has just changed over the years. Growing up like that, simply, I always thought like to do very well in life is to be able to buy whatever I want, then I will have achieved success.
Isn't that a Singapore mindset, right? In some ways.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, I maybe I just don't want very much. I can't buy everything in life, but I think there's nothing that I really, really want now that I cannot buy. I mean, I cannot buy a Lamborghini, but I don't want one. You know, like all the things that I want, I have, I feel. And then I really realized that actually happiness is really just, to me, a part of it, a big part of it is freedom. Like I think something that I really want to buy constantly is trips overseas. And I have the luxury to do that, and I feel like very thankful that I have the luxury to do that actually. And I'm like, actually, if I had all this money and I didn't have the time to do it, also not very, I mean, there's not much fun in that, right? So I have friends who have gone through that life, and they've passed that like time when they were carefree 20, 30 somethings, and then like in their 50s, and like, what do I do with my life? You know, so I don't want to be like that. I think like in Singapore, at least amongst my friends, I think there is a huge affluenza problem. Like everyone wants to be...
Share us a bit more about Affluenza.
I think everyone wants to be richer. Okay. And I connect with this problem because I was there too. Right? Like I said, I wanted to be like, my goal in life was to like be able to afford everything I wanted. I mean, that's my idea of being rich. Like, it's a very childish, simplistic way of thinking. Maybe some people have a like number in mind, like $1 billion. Mine was really like, I just want to be able to buy anything I want without having to think, you know, think too much. I still think too much lah, you know. But like,
so how is this related to Affluenza? Yeah.
So I think the problem is there's this chase to earn money, and there's this chase to be better than your neighbor, right? But it's a mindless chase, because everyone has their own thing that brings them happiness. I mean, of course, there are like a lot of different ways to be happy. And like, I mean, because you asked me about my favorite book. Actually, my favorite non-fiction book, I don't know if favorite is the right word, but it was the book that was really impactful for me when I was going through a really difficult time. It's a book called Happier by Tal Ben-Shahar. And it impacted me because he basically broke down happiness into two main things. One is the state of your relationships. And it's just not how many. As someone who's like an extrovert with a lot of friends, I had a lot of relationships, but it's the depth, right? And I realized that I had a few deeper relationships, but not all. And even those could be better. And then the second thing is to have constant states of flow in your life. I mean, flow we can talk about for hours, right? But
you're constantly in the flow.
I'm constantly in the flow. I mean, so I find that in sports for me a lot, and in people, in conversations. And I realize that when I'm in company and when I'm doing sports is when I'm happiest. So everyone has their own state of flow, right? So you should find that. And I think that when the whole state of affluenza is like, we forget that actually these are scientifically proven, the two things that will make your life happy. Whereas you can be in a state of flow at work, but what if you hate your job? it's very hard to be in flow when you hate what you actually do, or you don't find it fulfilling or challenging, or it's overly challenging, right? Then that's a problem, right? And then it feels like this constant race to like get better, earn more money, but then you're not stopping to like find time to build your relationships, which is the other thing that makes a person genuinely happy, right? So I think that is the main problem, at least the problem that I see in the Singapore society. And it would be great to kind of be able to just share that, like, this is what I not everyone likes to read books. Like, my friends tease me, they're like, how you read textbook for fun? Like, that is not a textbook. Like, you know, it sounds so boring, but I mean, I find it fun to read these books, right? But not everyone wants to read these books. So I just feel like if I could, I just distilled it in 2 main points, right? And then if you could just remember these 2 points, you know, every time you feel very stressed or very unhappy, then just ask yourself, like, actually, these are the 2 things that make any person, any human being really happy. Am I making time for both these things? To be in flow and to be in, to cultivate my relationships. And if you're not, then maybe it's time to take a step back, change your job, change your lifestyle. You know, are you like just working like a job that you really hate just because you earn a lot of money, just because then you can have a big car, big house, you know, a nice material life, but then actually you're miserable? But if you quit your job, sell your house, sell your car, and you live really simply, but you have a lot more time for the things that you want to do, for the relationships that you want to cultivate, then maybe you'll be a lot happier. So I think that is the main problem for me.
But also, like, not just you, but, you know, in terms of many Singaporeans who are living in this fast-paced society, right?
Yeah, that I'm seeing in Singapore.
For those who are listening or watching this, we are talking about Affluenza. Affluenza is actually the name for whereby, not influenza, having the flu, but affluenza is like a mental illness, society illness that we are driven to chase after success. And along with that, we acquire the skill of perfectionism, always wanting something fast, we consume, and we look really good on the outside aesthetically. We have material growth, but we have very little inner growth. So there's a social decay inside whereby we are just decaying away. We stop to trust as much. We are not really tuned into our compassion. We only look for transactional relationships, and because we want more economical growth. But along with that, we have a lot of discontentment because we realize that there's a lot of gaps and emptiness within us, and that's about affluenza.
Well, it's definitely said better than me lah.
No, just showing it as it is.
Yeah.
What advice will you give to those who are in their 20s or those who are coming out to the workforce?
I would say think about your strengths, your character strengths, and then from that perspective, think about what you want to do in your life. Because that's not how I thought. Because I went to business school and everyone wanted to be a banker, an investment banker in fact, and they're like, if you have good grades, why would you not want to be a banker? Right? So I didn't really think about what I was good at. I just had good grades. You know, I just happened to have good grades in business school. But I think if you think about it, like really from the perspective of what your personality is like, what makes you happy, think of that first, and then think about the jobs that you would be good at doing, and then your life will be so much easier and happier from that perspective. Because I'm guessing if you're in your 20s is when you're deciding what to do with your career.
Okay, so finding out their strengths will be very important, not just focusing on the grades.
Yeah.
And how do you navigate past that situation when everyone was telling you to become a banker?
Oh, that was tough. It was tough because I was like, am I making the wrong decision? You know, like, they're like, why would you, with good grades, go into advertising? But I just wanted to try. And I just thought, like, it's something, because I mean, like I said, you have to know your strengths, but also what you like to do. So with my strengths and skill set, right, I mean, or at least we did like those tests in school or whatever, and they're like, oh, you should be in PR. So I did my internship in PR, but I hated it.
Okay. I
hated it because I felt like I'm always asking people for favors. I realized this is not what I want to do. Right? So then I went to advertising, and I decided not to go into banking and finance because I actually am okay with numbers when I have to keep practicing them over and over again, but I'm not really good at it. And most importantly, I don't enjoy it. You know, I enjoy writing, but I don't enjoy numbers in general. You know, and the other thing is, things that you're good at, you may not necessarily enjoy. You might just be good at it. The happy coincidence is when you are good at something and you enjoy it as well. I was okay at it, but I didn't enjoy it. So you really shouldn't do that. You should do something that you enjoy, that you're good at the same time. And then that will be the right career path for you.
Great. And for those who are in their 20s, what one advice that they should ignore?
I would say that grades are everything, right? Because I don't know if it was an advice to me, but I think growing up in the Singapore school system, it's kind of ingrained in your system that grades are everything. You must do well in school. If you do well in school, you will do well in life. It's really not true, you know, because if you do well in school, you may not end up doing well in life because you haven't thought about a lot of other things beyond the fact that you're just good at taking exams. Because I think I'm just good at taking exams, honestly. And if you ignore that grades are everything, then you would feel more free to try more things at the expense of your grades. Like, you know, while you're in school, you would feel more free to do a lot more like extracurricular stuff. You would feel more free to do like mission trips or go on like, I don't know, like to just take a semester off, maybe work hard, earn money and go and travel somewhere. These are things that I regret not doing because I was like, oh no, this is going to affect my grade. You know, things like that. I mean, I did at least happily because I'm very energetic, get involved in a lot of other activities. But I had friends who perhaps weren't blessed with the same amount of energy. They're like, but I only have this much of energy. I need to spend it studying or working on like getting my grades right. So I think that's one piece of advice I would definitely ignore.
Oh, it's so tough, right? Especially in Singapore, when we talk about academics and grades are so important. And when you ask them to ignore that and tell them that grades are not everything, they're like, okay, you know, how am I going to navigate past that?
I mean, I recently gave a talk at SMU. You know, I went back to school to talk, and I think students now are a bit more enlightened. Definitely more enlightened than I was, right? And it helps with like, I guess, a lot more positive psychology things going around, and like better education beyond academic stuff. That I think students now are a bit more in tune to the fact that there are things outside of school that you can do. You know, I mean, I think I didn't mention this in the earlier question, but the other thing that I thought about that is a piece of advice that, maybe I can say it's a piece of advice to ignore, is you need to know what you want to do when you graduate school. You need to have a plan.
Okay.
Right? I would say ignore that because it's different. It's a different world. You know, it's a really, really different world from like what our parents had. And even now it's ever changing, and the needs of society are changing too. So if you have no idea what you plan to do after you finish school, that's okay. I think you can take some time to slowly think about it.
Taking a gap year.
Okay, I don't know, because I'm a dreamer, I don't encourage taking a gap year because I think it's kind of lazy. But like, I think you can take your time.
Okay.
And I think you can, maybe not a full gap year, but I think you can freelance. You know, there are a lot of ways that you can still earn your keep without like having to commit to a full-time job, you know, like, so not a gap year like you just rely on your parents completely, but you could do like food delivery, you could transport people like through Grab or whatever, earn some money on the side. You could do freelance like video work, freelance writing if that's what you want to do. You know, I'll say take time to explore. And also like now the job market is so different, it's so varied. You don't need to know exactly what you want to do when you graduate. Because I kind of panicked. I was like, oh, I have no plan, I have no vision, I have no whatever in life. But actually, you don't really need so much lah. You know, you just take some time to figure it out.
Okay.
And yeah, you'll be okay. Don't need to panic.
Don't need to panic, right?
Don't need to panic at 20 if you don't know what you want to do with your life.
Okay, I got one more last question for you, Jade.
Stefan, you got a lot of last questions.
Yes, is that
Okay.
if you have a magic wand
Yes.
and you can do something to change the world, what would that be?
Wow. I would want the world to be more equally distributed.
Okay.
In every way, like in terms of like resources, I guess mostly in resources, both natural and like, I guess, material resources. Just the rich-poor gap and the fact that there are people starving in this country and then the people wasting stuff in this country. I wish that everyone would just be able to have at least similar opportunities in life, and where it wouldn't be, so the difference would be so stark. Okay.
And what's coming up for you? Is there anything that you want to announce and share with the audience who are listening to this podcast or watching this show?
A lot of things coming up. So I'm working on, you know, like I'm also walking the talk when I say you don't need to know what you're doing. You can do more than one thing. It is what I'm doing. So remember to watch my channel as well. On YouTube, follow me on social media. The updates will all be there. I write articles for her, I do a lot of other things, and upcoming there will be workshops and talks and stuff like that. But if you follow me on social media, everything will be there. So that's probably the easiest way to keep in touch and keep up to date.
Okay, thank you, Jade. And I'd like to thank you for being on the show. And for those of you who are watching this or listening to this, if you have any feedback, comments, or any thoughts, please contact us at Getting Naked with Happiness and let me know if you have any ideas also. And thank you for watching the show.